Today, my guest is Milan Blake. He's 3rd District County Commissioner. I'm sure you know him. It's going to be a great discussion. We're going to unpack it here in a minute.
There you go. That's what I like.
Do you, I saw you on Facebook, you went to an event with Jackie G, was in it?
Yeah, the Farm Bureau's annual meeting.
Farm Bureau annual meeting. Tell me about that, because she does some of my taxes, Jackie.
Well, I got invited to come out there, and I've never been, and Chuck Muspadden, who owns the apple orchards, a good friend of mine.
Yeah, Chuck,
He invited me out there, and the family was out of town. I was like, yeah, why not? Go out there and meet some people and see what's going on, good folks. And it turns out I knew a number of people out there, so they had a nice annual meeting.
Well, how many was there?
I'd say 100, 120 right there.
Annual Farm Bureau?
Yeah.
My dad worked there for years.
He was there.
Oh, was he?
He was there, yeah.
Oh.
I went over there and said hello to him real quick. I didn't know he'd moved to Ooltewah.
Yeah, or Chattanooga.
Chattanooga,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
Jackie, she's done my taxes since I was, parts of my taxes since I was 17.
What was impressive, this was her 4th, if I understood it correctly, treasurer's report that she gave. So she's been doing it for quite some time.
I'm on bet she kept it very simple.
She did. Yeah.
She understands that stuff.
Yeah, she did a good job.
Whenever you read a story in the newspaper or see something on television about somebody getting arrested, you naturally assume they're guilty. Unless the story's about you or someone you love, then you'll think differently. And you'll want a lawyer who will defend you. My name's Scott Canavis. If you or someone you love has been charged with a crime, call me. I'll return your phone calls, I'll work on your case, and I will defend you.
So, does the Farm Bureau, how many board members they got?
I don't know. I was just a guest there.
Chuck's like ahead of it, isn't he?
I think he's pres or chairman, whatever their title is.
Steve Petty there, I guess, the main guy.
I didn't see him, but I did meet it was kind of interesting. I was sitting across the table and I introduced myself to this lady. She goes, my name is Diane, and my husband is Jack. And I was like, oh, kind of like the song, Jack and Diane.
Yeah.
She goes, yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently he was the pres or chairman before Chuck was.
Can't think of who that'd be.
Then Rex Calfee was there.
I built their building.
That barn?
No, Farm Bureau, where they're at now.
Okay, yeah.
Who'd you say before? You said, right before that, you said something.
Rex Calfee?
Yeah, Rex Calfee.
Yeah, I'm sitting next to him. He's a dairy farmer.
Yeah, he's about my age, or maybe a little older.
Okay.
Wonder how many cows they're milking there.
I have no idea.
Well, they own a bunch of land, don't they?
Yeah.
I haven't ever figured out the exact relationship between him and Calfee's convenience store.
I don't know either.
I know they're all Calfees.
The Calfees, yeah. And they have their annual family reunion, but...
I think one time I bought some property and I switched something with him, and it was just as smooth as could be.
Yeah.
Just didn't even... I can't even remember what it was. It was so easy. And I don't even think I even talked to him other than just on the phone.
He's an easy guy to get along with. Mm-hmm. He's one of my favorite people.
You ever go out to any of his farms?
I've never been out there. I've never been there.
They've got one place that goes, I believe, it goes under one of those big culverts that the cows go under the road.
Oh, yeah?
You know, there's a lot more of those than you realize because you don't see them because they're kind of grown up around the edges.
I've talked to him about the industry and how it's, evolving and it's become, the milk industry is becoming very corporate. The big guys are buying out the little guys and all what's going on and how you can support your local dairy farmers and that kind of stuff. They actually tag the milk and stuff like that. So
I don't know.
I always try to buy local.
So what you mean? They tag the carton?
The bottle or the
Is that
container
right?
it's in. Yeah, I got it written down how I know what's local and stuff like that. But
You know, I had Scotty Mayfield on.
oh, did you?
Yeah, he was really interesting. But you know, Mayfield's milk just doesn't have that thickness it used to be. Have you noticed that?
No.
It used to be thicker. They used to use maybe Brahma or Jersey cows, and now they use different ones or something. It's not as thick as it was.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard some people
It's
say
like
that.
skim milk or something. And I don't, you know, I miss the old thick milk.
The good stuff, yeah.
You drink a lot of milk?
I do.
Like every day?
A couple times a day. I mean, I'm a milk and cookies kind of guy. You can tell.
Oreos?
Oreos or bake my own chocolate chips. You know, I like watching the Braves, sitting down and watching the Braves and a glass of milk and cookies and stuff like that. So,
You know,
probably need to change that diet a little bit.
whenever they changed whenever they did that strike, baseball sort of lost its luster.
That happened to a
didn't
lot. There's a lot of people. I think that was at 95.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people said no, but I kind of was with you on that because how can millionaires go on strike? The whole concept was, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But my oldest son, when he came along, he got into baseball, and at first we thought, you know, just go through the T-ball years and whatnot. But then he got, you know, pretty good, and he went through the travel ball world and eventually played for Cleveland High School, and then eventually pitched for Carson Newman.
Is that right?
So I got back into baseball a little bit and kind of decided to forgive baseball a little bit and give him another shot.
Did you ever hear of Tim Dodd?
No.
He was the best pitcher, I guess, that Cleveland or Bradley County's ever had.
Oh wow.
He lived
That's
behind me when I was at Fulbright, and he could pitch, buddy.
Yeah.
And he went on to he played professional.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, you can look him up.
All right, I
It's
will,
in
yeah.
there. I mean,
There's
you can
been-
Google him. Tim Dodd from Cleveland, Tennessee.
There's been a couple of
But
people.
he hurt his back and got on pain pills.
Oh no.
He's still alive.
Yeah.
He still lives in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Not many people know that story.
No, I've never heard of him. There's a couple other people I've heard of. Asa, my oldest, he pitched a year after Camden Sewell, who went and pitched at Tennessee. Jason Sewell's son. It was pretty cool watching him when he went up to Knoxville, and then I think that they went to SEC champions and then to the World Series and stuff like that. But
The thing about pitching, you can blow your arm out.
they can.
And that's just about it then, isn't it?
Yeah, and we hired a coach. I forget his name, David, down in Chattanooga. He pitched for the Rangers just to show Asa how to pitch healthy. That's what
Yeah, I've heard that
So-
concept. What it is they do differently.
They've got all kinds of equipment.
It's
They got
been the rolling of the shoulder or something.
It was pretty neat. They take him into this room in this manufactured mound or whatever, and they got cameras kind of like you have here on top of the ceiling, both sides, and they watch every angle, and they put those little dots on the screen, and they go through it in slow motion, and it was pretty neat.
Did it speed his pitching up?
It did. He went from the mid 80s to the high 80s to the low 90s or whatever. He was more of a off-speed pitcher. He was trying to fool you with what he was doing.
So it was a good 8 or 9 mile an hour faster then.
Yeah, and he got stronger, and as well.
Can he
worked
throw
out.
a knuckleball or
I
anything?
don't think so. The way he did was, way he can explain it a lot better is the ball looks like it's getting ready to come at you, and you're the batter, and you're gonna think it's gonna hit you. You're gonna back up, and then it's gonna tail across the plate at the last second.
That may be a cork ball.
Yeah, that's what he.
Well,
That's
there's
what-
more science to that
There is.
than I knew.
I was the dad, so I sat over in
Yeah.
the corner and kind of just watched, and they would get into like how the ball would leave your finger, like if it left right here,
Yeah.
or the top of your finger right here, the two finger, and I mean, all that kind of stuff. How your foot lands, the heel to the toe, and your foot point, all that stuff. I mean, they've got it down.
Wonder who the best pitcher was ever that they ever knew. Was it Nolan Ryan, or who was the best, known as the fastest?
The coach that did all this, I call it gee whiz, all this camera
Mm-hmm.
stuff, was also the coach or the instructor for Justin Verlander. That's how I found out about it. It was on the web. It was over in Houston.
So most of them real good pitchers are just in the mid to high 90s, right?
I think so, yeah.
But getting another 3 mile an hour off a pitch is a big deal.
It's a big deal. I think when you get into the mid 90s and like Craig Kimbrell, he used to be a relief pitcher for the Braves, he'd get a little bit over 100. And yeah, but he could only do about 20, 25 pitches. I mean, after that, he was pretty much done. He was a relief pitcher, or closer, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, relief pitcher is different than a closer.
The sixth and seventh inning.
Closure is when you got to shut them out
3
2
outs.
innings.
You got to get up 3 outs. That last inning, that's the closer.
Boy, there's a lot of technical stuff to this. The Braves, do you go to the games?
I try to go to them as much as I can. This year I haven't been but 2 games this year.
They got a new stadium, somebody
They
said?
did, yeah. The Truett Field. When Amy and I met, our first house together, right after we got married, was about 5 miles from where it's located now. But when we were in Atlanta, it was downtown.
Yeah,
which was a
I've
pain.
been to it once.
Yeah. Your son played for me one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did y'all?
He was my shortstop.
Oh, and Little League and
Fall ball, I believe.
Fall.
He was the only one that could make the throw from shortstop to first base. So
he was it.
yeah, he was it. He could make the throw and he could get over there. So,
Yeah.
But he was good.
I don't even remember him playing.
I got a picture. I'll send it to you.
Send it to me if you got it. But why did they ask you to go to the Farm Bureau? Because you're in that district. Is that your district?
I think they invite all elected officials.
Okay.
And I don't know. I think Chuck said over the years some come, some don't. But I'm glad I did. I really am.
Oh, if you're in politics, you got to go to every
Yeah.
thing there is, right?
You do. You can't go to them all. We get invited to a lot, and I appreciate the invitations, but like this week coming up is going to be extremely busy. There's a lot of things going on right now.
Is it with the county commission or your other job?
County commission. Pretty much everything's county commission, yeah.
Now, your other job, you're the financial officer, is that right?
I'm a financial analyst. I configure systems so that when people get their pay, and all the accountants and auditors all have the info they need for the auditors, the general ledger, just the bookkeeping piece of it. So
You're like the hourglass or something, I guess. Maybe.
I get all the data ready for the executives to make decisions and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
You have to do projections.
I can. Yeah. Forecasting.
Can you forecast 5 years from now, or is that just a myth?
If you have all the right data elements, you can get a pretty good shot. It depends on what you're forecasting, like unemployment rate and interest rates is obviously a big topic today, stuff like that.
It'd be hard to you just forecast it based on the information you have.
That you have, yeah, historical data and projections, the bell curve and statistics and stuff like that. Yeah.
You have a computer program to put that in?
I do. Oracle. I use Oracle.
So it divides all that stuff out and brings in data from hyperlinks stuff into it?
Yeah, I tell some of the folks down at the courthouse I speak fluent nerd. I mean, it's all syntax stuff that you see in books and stuff like that. But
what's syntax mean?
When you do an if then else statement or, all that kind of stuff, all the code is necessary to configure data.
You mean just write like the at sums?
Yeah. I don't know, have you ever written anything in a computer or whatever? Like you do, if this is true, then all this is going to help, and all this is going to happen, else all this is going to, all that kind of stuff. So.
Would it just be at sum and calculations through the? Like if interest rates were 8.5 versus 8, then it just calculate it down to what it would be.
What ifs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, a lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think? When I was first gotten into real estate, I had this real smart guy that was probably not known to be smart, but he said, find out the medium income for your area divide that by 4, and that's what people will pay for their house and utilities.
Yeah, the real estate market has, don't the mortgage people have some kind of formula? That
Yeah, I
you've gotta
think
have you got a certain amount?
he would base it on 20-year mortgage at 8% interest.
Yeah.
And I said, why? Because in 20 years you'll average 8%. And he says the years that you're 5%, you better save the money because you'll need it when the interest is 10%.
Your feast of famine.
Yeah.
Right,
So
yeah.
it's not, you're just holding it for a while.
Exactly, yeah. And
So I figure I got a little and I hyperlinked the medium income,
all right.
and then I got a thing at some, or divide this by that, and then I got a little formula that says what you can give for a building.
That's it.
You know, if 8%, and then because it calculates it at like
Well, you're a programmer then.
well, I guess I don't know if you'd call it that, but I just call it, you just write the formula in the cell.
Yeah.
You know, and copy the formula or whatever. But it'll tell you about what you should give.
Yeah.
And then I've had people say, well, you can't buy it for that. And I said, well, then you can't buy nothing. Look for the one you can. That's the trick.
That
The
is.
trick is not buying. The trick is finding the one that fits that formula,
Exactly.
the safe formula.
Right. And isn't that where we kind of got into trouble in '08, is that people were buying
Yeah.
more house than that formula will allow? You're buying a $400,000 house and you only make $35,000 a year,
Yeah, and
then
then
trying to sell it 3 months later.
And I don't know if I'm exactly right on this, but I think when they sold those mortgages off, they'd classify them as grade. These mortgages are A, these are classified as Bs, and these are Cs, and they'd start classifying some Cs as Bs.
Exactly what happened.
And then when they had this bundle of Bs that were, some of them were Cs, they would use derivatives and borrow against that income 10 times
Exactly.
because that's just what, I think that's what happened.
That is, that's exactly what happened in an insurance company, AIG, was insuring those and went belly up and all that kind of. But you're absolutely right. They were grading, because they take 1,000 mortgages and package them all together, and then they got a rating from the rating company. There's what, 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
And you're right. They gave them a rating that they probably shouldn't have had.
And then interest rates went up and everything failed.
And then it collapsed. Yeah, the cards fell. Yeah.
I think now they're getting ready to maybe give people $25,000 to
saw
buy a
that.
house, but that really doesn't help somebody's ability to pay.
But
That
if I
doesn't-
know you're getting 25,000 from wherever, the government,
Yeah.
then I'm probably going to increase my
I'm
house
on-
by 25,000. So it breaks even there.
It's not going to help the buyer.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt them eventually.
I mean, so
But
be
the
careful what you ask for.
But the problem is getting something that low enough where they can afford.
Affordable housing is a big thing that we deal with at the county, and I'm sure that the city it does as well. City Fields is, I'm on that board and working with David Goodwill and those folks over there, doing it the right way. So I'm really.
David, if he was in whatever he was in charge of, he'd be doing good.
He's good, yeah.
Wouldn't matter what it was, would it?
Yeah, but he's taken the Dustin moved
Yeah.
on, and David came on board, and about 6-7 months ago, maybe he asked me if I'd join the board, and I was happy to. But that's what they're trying to do over there is get homeowners in, get it right way. There's challenges, of course, but I'm really proud to be on that board.
And that's in the city, and you're county commissioner, so it's.
Well, you know the saying, Tom Rowland told me a long time ago, everybody in the city is in the county.
I guess that's right. That's right. There's always a little tug of war between the city and county, isn't there?
There's always a little tug of war, but
Did you know that before you got there?
I know a little bit about it.
Is
yeah.
it worse than you thought?
No, it's not.
About the same?
No, it's not that. It's not as bad as it is. Well, I'll just say the media. Very.
So it's not even as bad as what I've heard.
No, it really isn't.
That's just an old rumor, probably.
Right. I mean, sometimes we have disagreements on stuff, but I always like to point out the things that we do very, very well together. The 911 Center is jointly funded by both us, the county and city. Spring Branch, there's a number of the library. There's a ton of things that we do together for the betterment of our community. Every once in a while we have maybe a disagreement, but not often. It is, I will say, it is, I think, very much overblown that the county and the city don't get along.
How long have you been on it?
I'm coming up on my 11th year.
11th? That's a long time. Where is the 3rd District?
The 3rd District start on Inman and Keith, that little corner right there across the street from Starbucks, and all the historical district, Lee University, up here to Bowman, Point, because we're right here, Bowman Hills, and then out to Michigan Avenue, Foxfire, Mill Creek, Powhatan, all the way over to Michigan Avenue, Michigan Avenue Elementary School, and head back downtown. That's the 3rd District. It's the smallest district, but all the districts have about the same amount of people. It's just geography.
You're mostly in the city then.
Yeah, I'm 94% city.
You're almost like the city's county commissioner.
That's what they used to
sense.
tell me. Tom Rowland told me, he goes, "Oh, you're the ambassador for the city." I was like, "Well, I represent the county taxes, not the city taxes."
Do you try to stick with that? What benefits the counties?
Yeah. When you pay your county taxes, that's what I represent. All right, the old no representation, no taxation without representation. So I represent your county taxes.
What was that song they used to play on Saturday mornings?
I'm just a bill.
I'm just a bill. Yeah.
Yeah, no. But no, I agree. I think the city and the county do a lot more. And you never see it so much. The media really highlights when one of my fellow commissioners will say something like, "Oh, the city, this, that, and the other," and that gets all blown out of proportion.
And who listens to media anymore? I mean, it's not in the newspaper. I don't even get the newspaper.
You don't, yeah.
I don't even get it. And my mother gets it, but I don't read it.
That's one thing that has changed since I first got on in 14. The newspaper. Everybody, it was in your driveway when you got home and all that. And now, they still have a representative there at all of our meetings and all of our committee meetings and stuff. But I've found that a lot of people, will email me like, "What's going on?" and stuff like that.
Of course, it's on the. I often thought you can watch WCLE's commission meeting online.
That's another thing we've done we put our meetings on, and committee meetings for the most part, on video. So you can watch us.
But nobody's going to do that, right? I mean, a few. Wonder how many watch it. 50?
I don't know. But every once in a while, I'll say, somebody will say, "Oh, I watched you on there." I was sitting next to Louis or now Denny Collins, and they're like, "Oh, what did you say to them?" So some people do watch it, but you can always go back and watch it if
Where would you get the summary?
The minutes, if you want to go online to the county commission website or bradleycountygov.tn, or tn.gov, we have the minutes, which is really a summation of what we did. Who made the motions and what the motions were for, stuff like that.
Somebody ought to publish. Well, I don't know. Nobody'd look at it. Can you believe how many few people even voted this time?
I know, a historical low.
I mean, if you had a big family, if you had a big extended family, you could win any election. You could win any election.
At the district level, yeah. At the district level, you had two city. Well, one of the cities was at large. The other one was a district. Yeah, I mean,
what, 1,500, 2,000 votes?
If you had a big Sunday school class, like one of those big ones, and everybody liked you, just make sure they all get to the polls.
And you'd win.
Yeah. With an election turnout. Like this. Now, the one we're getting ready to do here in a couple of weeks, that'll be a big one.
I bet it'll be lower than, I'm sure it'll be bigger, but I bet we'll be shocked at how low it will be.
You may be right on that, but the presidential race historically is always the number one turnout.
And the sheriff's the number 2, right?
Yeah, sheriff, and that's an interesting concept.
It is.
I mean,
Why that is, I don't know.
Yeah, the sheriff's race.
Because to me, the city commission is one that gets your police, who's head of the police, but that's not a big deal to them. But the sheriff's a big deal.
It is. I think, I'm going by memory, which I shouldn't do, but I think the last real big election was the sheriff race with Steve Lawson and Eric Watson. I mean,
Yep.
that was a big night.
That was a big night.
Yeah.
This last one wasn't that big, was it, with the sheriff?
No, he ran unopposed, I believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. The sheriff's race brings out people like no other.
And I don't know why.
And it's never been in any other place I've lived in that hasn't been the case.
You know, I've noticed the police aren't stake. One thing I've noticed about Steve Lawson's administration is you don't see that many policemen sitting on the side of the road checking your speed. Have you noticed that? Or is it just, and even the city, we don't have them like they used to be.
I would definitely say that's true for the county. I don't see county deputies sitting around checking speed or anything like that. I have seen 1 or 2 city, but I think they were there per request, perhaps.
Maybe at certain spots or
Yeah.
something. But as far as just being out, radar detecting, I just don't see that in the county like I used to.
No, I agree.
And I don't know if it's something Steve's doing or if I'm just driving slow.
You're driving the speed limit, so you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about it, right?
Yeah, because I've gotten a bunch of speeding tickets.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty busy. I mean, I don't know. They've got their things they've got to do. I had an opportunity a couple of years ago. Steve called, John Collins, and he set it up where I could ride with one of the deputies one night. So I went down to the station, and they had their roll call where they get ready to go around 7 o'clock. And I rode with one of the deputies till about 1 a.m. And then I pretty much said, "You can take
Yeah.
it from here."
Yeah.
But it was pretty interesting. It was one thing after another. It wasn't like just sitting around.
No, they're going.
Yeah, he was going the whole night. They stopped and got a drink or something like that, but for the most part, the radio was going and moving from one place to the other in the county. So that's pretty
It'd be
interesting.
hard for me to sleep if I was the sheriff, knowing stuff was going on.
Yeah. He's done a good job.
So did you come here to Lee?
No, my wife and I met in Atlanta, and she is from here, so I tell everybody.
What was her maiden name?
Adams. So her mom was Nancy Adams. She taught over at Bradley for a while, and her dad was Felton. He worked over at Magic Chef and Maytag over there. But no, we met in Atlanta, got married, and basically got tired.
Where'd you meet?
I'm sorry?
Where'd you meet?
Wayuka Road Baptist Church. Right there, if you're familiar with Atlanta.
Was she going to school there?
No, we were both already out of school. She was already an RN.
Oh.
And I'd already moved on,
Yeah.
or I was already out of school. But she told me basically, Atlanta was getting too big, it was whatever, and we're either moving to Cleveland, her hometown, or we're moving to Cleveland.
Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I love it here.
What year did you move back?
We moved here in 2004.
2004.
2004, so I've been here 20 years.
Things were booming here in 2004 too, weren't they?
Yeah, it was getting...
I mean, people forget they were really booming in 2004 to 2006. Really 1990 to about 2006.
Yeah. And the other day we had Paul Kahn came over to Rotary. I'm in Rotary, and he talked about how Lee University played a role in the Olympics in '96. Well, we were down in Atlanta in '96.
Yeah.
So the whole
Were you there during...
Lee campus was the village for the athletes that were competing over in Polk County. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, do you remember that bombing they had in Atlanta?
I do. I was there that night.
You were there that
That
night?
night, yeah.
Remember the guy that got accused of it but he wasn't guilty?
Yeah, and then they
Put a
made a movie out of it.
Clint
yeah.
Eastwood was the director, wasn't he?
Was he?
I
Okay,
think
yeah,
so, yeah.
Yeah.
I went and saw that movie.
Yeah, and eventually they found the guy. Was it Rudolph, whatever?
Yeah,
over
he
in the
was-
Carolinas, whatever.
Yeah, he was from Murphy. Or, yeah,
Oh, was he? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was there. That was
Eric Robert Rudolph.
yeah. That was in Olympic Plaza, and the building that I worked in, the SunTrust building on Peachtree, was like 2 blocks over from there. So.
I wonder when they'll have the Olympics were in Paris this last time. I wonder
Yeah.
when they come back around here. How they choose that, reckon?
Well, they got a committee, right? The IOC.
So somebody
Yeah, they've already chosen. They got the next 2.
will they lobby for where they
Oh,
go, or
yeah.
is it just a rotating thing?
No, they lobbied crazy for it.
Well, how would you do? How would your person do that?
You get a committee, and like I remember when Atlanta was awarded the Olympics. I mean,
Or the United States,
yeah,
right?
but Los Angeles has got it next. Like LA 28 is what you're hearing. You're going to hear that for the next 4 years, and then after that, it's in Australia. So the next 2 have already been decided. So there's probably cities.
So it's back to America.
Yeah, back to Los Angeles.
Will it be a winter? I
No,
guess.
summer. Yeah, I don't think you can have snow skiing in.
So
Los
you
Angeles.
don't think United States could ever be a Winter Olympics?
Yeah, they did it. They did it in New York, White Plains, I believe. I can't remember.
But
Somewhere
the next election,
or Utah had it. as
the
well.
next one is 2028 Los Angeles. So
Yeah, summer.
so could they come back here and do Whitewater again?
They probably wouldn't come across the country, but they could. You saw where the surfing contest was actually in Tahiti, which is a French
Yeah, I
colony.
wonder how much of that they'll start doing.
Yeah,
D-
they probably
'Cause-
have everything they need in
Well,
California.
when they came to Atlanta, was it in Atlanta? Was the Olympics in Atlanta, or was it just who was the host city or state city?
When they came to Atlanta,
Yeah, just Atlanta.
yeah. Well, it was all over. I mean,
So if they have it in Los Angeles next, they could have the Whitewater here too.
They could.
They had it before.
they could, but they've got plenty. They probably had stuff over. They build like the one in Paris was man-made, right? It wasn't an actual. Like,
So was
ours
this
is
one.
natural.
Well, they put a bunch of rocks in there.
Yeah.
Didn't they sort of change the?
Yeah,
So it could be here.
it could be. It could be.
Well, that'd be exciting, wouldn't it? I like to watch the Olympics.
I did too. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You get to see sports that you normally don't ever look
Well,
at.
it just gives you
I
something.
appreciate it.
something to. I like to have something to look forward to watch.
Yeah, I agree
For
with
some
that.
reason,
I agree with that.
I
yeah.
like a series and stuff.
Yeah, but
I'll probably watch the Democratic convention all this week because it's something to watch.
well, there's probably going to be some action there.
Yeah, just watch it and then I'm watching the Fugitive series right now. The old Fugitive, remember that?
Oh, with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, no, the original.
Oh no, I never heard of that. Harrison Ford was in it with Tommy Lee.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that as the last. After I've watched the series, then I'm gonna watch the show. I've seen the movie.
Okay.
But I'm going back to watching the old.
Okay.
All the old. I'm about midway through it now.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good. There's
Some old shows that are really good that I never would probably pay attention to, but lately, in the last 4 or 5 months, Perry Mason shows.
Oh yeah, Perry.
They're like 8 seasons of it, and I'm on like season 5, and it's free. It's on the little dial that I have on my television
Yeah.
because I stream now. And you watch, and you kind of see the pattern every time. If somebody gets in trouble, he takes them to court and he always wins.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty good show.
Well,
and
I
how
like-
they talked to each other back then. I mean, obviously the language was different, and,
And I
and
like-
they smoked in front
Yeah,
of each other.
and even the architecture. I like to watch how the
Yeah.
old architecture and I like to see the old actors.
Yeah,
See, I saw
you're absolutely right.
I see the old actors.
I was watching this one episode, and the lady who played Aunt Bee in Andy Taylor,
Mm-hmm.
she was a guest star on Perry Mason. I'm like, that's Aunt Bee. I mean, when she first
Mm-hmm.
started. And the lady who played I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara something, I can't remember. She was just like a teenager in one of the Perry Mason.
I saw Jack Klugman the other night on the. He was on the trucking company on The Fugitive,
Okay.
which was Quincy.
Yeah,
He was just the same type of actor. He talked with his hands and everything.
okay,
But
yeah.
you can see him a lot younger.
yeah. So some of those shows are timeless. They really are.
Yeah, and there's one guy named Bus Masterson, I think is his name. No, Burt Mustin.
I don't know.
He was the tall guy, tall, skinny, old man that was the security guard on Andy Griffith when he fell asleep and Barney's gun fell apart.
Oh, okay.
So he's been on everything. He's been
Okay.
on The Fugitive. He was on Gunsmoke. He was on Archie Bunker. He was on more shows than any actor ever.
Wow, that's saying a lot because back in those days, my wife and I just visited Asa over in California. He moved out there 4 or 5 months ago. Maybe
Asa.
Asa, yeah, the one that works for 84 Lumber.
Yeah, because that's what his name was on Andy Griffith. Asa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I got me confused.
And we took a tour of Warner Brothers, and they did a little history. And Warner Brothers, back when they first started, they were the gangster movies. They did a lot of gangsters, and they would bring in a lot of actors and from one studio to the other.
You know that. Speaking of that, you familiar with Wild River? That movie they did up on the Upper River Road.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, and it was. You ever never watched the movie?
Wild River?
Yeah,
No, I haven't.
Well, it was filmed up there, and the black boy at the beginning that was pumping the gas is Paul that works at Stacy's up in Charleston at that restaurant.
Okay.
You ever eat there?
No, I haven't been up
You
there.
need to go up there and eat.
Yeah.
It's really good. But but that is Paul. He was big in that movie for some reason. He was just a kid.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a movie?
I've never been in a movie. Never. I'd get we ever wonder why some of those actors will get typecast and others won't?
I know.
I mean, what? I think that maybe some of those actors could play various. There's a difference between an actor and a character actor.
You're absolutely right.
A character actor can come and go. I even saw Archie Bunker on Gunsmoke.
Tom Hanks can do.
He can do them all.
He can do a
He can
number.
do 'em all.
Usually with comedy, but obviously in Saving Private Ryan, it wasn't any comedy. But then you think about the guy that played Radar on MASH.
Yeah.
He said,
He was typecast.
I heard him say that he could never get anything because everybody thought Radar from MASH.
Jethro Bodine was the same way. He couldn't get an actor part for nothing.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Some get typecast, and that's all
Burt
you know.
Mustin, he was in every one of them. I mean, he was in he was in My Three Sons. He was in Leave It to Beaver. He was in Gunsmoke.
All those classics.
All of them.
Yeah.
He didn't start acting until he was 68.
Yeah.
Think about that.
I know. I'll leave the acting up to those guys. I don't know if
I
I'd
saw
ever do it.
Archie Bunker on Gunsmoke. He got shot.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he got shot and killed. He died on TV.
That's always cracks me up when you see actors on other shows. I mean, doing cameos and stuff like that. Michael Landing, who was Paul on Little House on Prairie, he was on some other shows.
He was a little Joe.
But Bonanza? Is that what
He was a little Joe on Bonanza.
Yeah.
And
first time I saw it, I was like,
he
what's he
was
doing on
on,
Bonanza?
he was on.
And then he did the Angel show or something.
Yeah, I didn't go over that well.
Yeah.
Did that? Let's see, what was it he was on? I saw him the other night.
And his daughter was in that Yellowstone.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
She's the one that couldn't talk real good, or
I hadn't got stuck on Yellowstone yet. Was it good?
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
I don't want to get stuck on any drama.
Well,
stuff.
that was a little Western kind of thing. It had Kevin, I forget his name. Kevin, he's in a lot of movies also, but I didn't know it until I saw her interview that was Michael Landing's daughter, but she was Teeter. That was her character on the Yellowstone, but foul mouth or whatever. She played the part, you know.
You remember? You ever watch Lost in Space?
Yeah, well, they came out with a new movie. I did see that.
But did you see the originals?
Yeah.
I watched it here a while
And the little
back.
spaceship on strings go across the...
Well, that famous actor, I can't think of. He was there as a 12-year-old boy, and he became more famous than any of them.
I forget
I
who that
can't
was.
remember his name. I can't remember his name.
I can't have to look
I
him up.
think it's that guy that played Roadhouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was his name?
Well, when I think of Roadhouse, I think of Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze. It was him.
Okay.
He was there as a 12-year-old boy
Yeah.
on Lost in Space.
Wow, I did not know that.
It's really strange. And then on The Fugitive the other night, they had who was that guy that did Lonesome Dove? You remember that?
Gene Hackins?
No,
Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall.
Yeah, Robert Duvall was he made sales.
Oh, really?
He sold sales. He was just a young guy, but you could tell it was him. And then the thing about The Fugitive, at the beginning they'll say tonight's guest star is, and they'll have two people, and 9 times out of 10 it's a real popular actor even
Yeah.
today.
I remember seeing him in The Godfather, and Marlon Brando.
He was
he came, and I'm like, that's Robert Duvall. Anyway,
Yeah, he was. Wasn't he the consigliere?
something
I
like
believe,
that.
yeah.
One of those titles.
Yeah.
I mean, Marlon
Yeah.
Brando played the dad or
Yeah.
the don, whatever they call it, or whatever. But I didn't see that movie until like last year. Everybody was talking about it. I was like, I guess I need to watch it. Everybody's talking about it. The Godfather.
But I like stuff. I like all series like MASH and all of them.
Yeah.
I've watched about every one of them, man. I've watched them because they don't demand a whole lot of attention.
That's right.
You kind of just let them play in the background.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
cracks me up about that is the show was like 3 times longer than the actual war.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
the number
bizarre.
of seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
war was not that long.
Yeah.
The conflict, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, it cracks me up being, I was in the Army and I saw, their uniforms and the helicopters in the Korean conflict or war, and then in Vietnam, the Hueys came out, and then by the time I got in, the Black Hawks were,
Well, even on MASH, Hawkeye always said this isn't a war.
it was conflict, technically, yeah.
I mean, he didn't believe it was war either. That's why he didn't go for it.
Yeah.
So when did you grow up in Atlanta? You were born and raised?
No. I grew up in the Pensacola, Florida area, and then after high school, I went out to college or the Army, college, got my degree at Central Florida, and got a job with SunTrust or Sunbank at the time, but SunTrust, and I was in Orlando at the time. And one of the managers up in Atlanta met with him, and I said to him, I want to do this new concept. I want to put this new system in. It's called email. And he goes, whatever, Blake, just whatever. And I installed it, and I had a couple of managers emailing each other. I mean, literally sitting across the table emailing. But then they found out about it up in Atlanta, and they're like, we want that up in Atlanta. And I was ready to get out of Orlando anyway, so I transferred up to Atlanta. So Pensacola, Army, Orlando, Atlanta, Cleveland.
Why'd you go to the Army?
I went in the Army for the GI Bill. My dad was kind of in the construction business. He's the one, I remember as a little kid going with him. He was the one that you took the insulation up to the attics and you put it in between these, I don't know what you call them, these rafters or whatever. It was Owens Corning.
Yeah.
I remember that. And you put these little spikes down or whatever.
Ties. They
So
call
it
them.
was
Lightning.
high-
They call them lightning rods.
Okay. So in Florida, it's 500 degrees in these attics
Yeah.
or whatever. So I'm pulling these installations up and stuff like that. And I knew then I wanted to go to college.
That stuff had the fiberglass in it. That
Yeah,
time.
and fiberglass, Owens Corning. And it was thick, I think, or whatever.
Yeah, it's R30, like the.
Yeah. So I did that, and he also did the duct. He taught me how to do duct work, where the air gets, you take these big silver things and you shave, take a shear and you shave it, you fold it up and put a piece of tape on it and wedge it down, and then you connect them all, and it looks like they're all over. I did all that.
Duct work.
Duct work, yeah. Anyway, so I wanted the GI Bill. He said, I can't afford college. My mom and dad didn't finish high school. I mean, but they were very, very hard workers. So I basically talked to a recruiter. They said, you give us a couple of years, and then we'll have a GI Bill for you.
So what branch did you join?
U.S. Army.
Well, did it scare you about all the movies we've watched and stuff, or was it as bad as they said, or was it?
Well, they do a mind trick on you before you go off to boot camp, and all that, but it's not as bad. I mean,
I've seen those things on TV, boot camp, and they're bad. Was it like that, or was it?
No, it wasn't that bad.
Maybe it was worse
just, you just know that you're going to get yelled at. There's no ifs, ands about it. And I was a little smart mouth, so I got yelled at a lot. And you just stay focused on what you're trying to accomplish. 12 weeks and you're out of here. It's just do what the drill sergeants tell you to.
Just try to hide under the radar as much as possible.
Yeah, but just get up, clean your bunk, do your stuff. This isn't the time to be famous or anything like. Just get out of here and do
12 weeks.
12 weeks, yeah.
Was it running the whole time?
No, I mean you did exercise every day. I was in pretty good shape, but there were some days, especially when you did M16 training, you would march out to the firing range, and you'd be there all day when you zero your weapon and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there was a lot of exercise. I mean, you did your PT every day. But
how long was the PT every day?
couple hours. I mean, you got up in the morning around 4:30, and you ran in platoon formation. So I mean, if you had a leader that was kind of slow, that was good. But they also had one that was fast. I joined it every once in a while.
Did you have a choice?
Yeah.
If you're in formation like that, does drafting help? A little bit.
No.
Is there any? Surely.
No, but cadence actually does. When they sing the cadence, I don't know if you've ever heard the cadence, that actually helps because you get in your mindset, you just forget about being tired or any muscle cramps or anything like that. So cadence, C-130, rolling down the strip, they sing this stuff, and next thing you know, you just ran 5 miles.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
I think it's all up here.
That's why they do it.
Yeah, they figured it out.
Somebody's figured that out.
Yeah. You do that every day, and then clean up your bunk.
5 miles.
Yeah, 5 miles pretty much every day.
For 12 weeks.
Yeah. I don't think we did it on Sundays. I think they let us go to church. If you didn't have to run if you were religious or you had a faith or whatever, and pretty much everybody
got that, yeah.
Everybody had, everybody was really faithful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you came out of there in pretty good shape.
And so 3 months of running, did you ever run 5 miles the first day?
I did.
Well, how could somebody that couldn't run
The
5?
cool thing, I think, just before I got in '87, and I think in the last year or two before I got there, they stopped where you had to run in combat boots. They actually let you wear real running shoes.
Because that hurts your shins.
Yeah, I think it was messing up to me, and they were heading over to the medics and stuff like that. So we actually had, I think I have Nikes or Adidas, something like that. But yeah, it's real running shoes. That helped a lot. But you still ran in fatigues.
Doesn't that look funny with tennis shoes on with fatigues?
Yeah, you didn't care about looks. I was like a skinhead. I mean, looks. And then they gave us, for those of us who had glasses, they gave us a prescription pair of glasses, and they had a little nickname for them called birth control, because they were the ugliest glasses in the world. So yeah, you didn't care about looks.
They'll give you 2 pair or just 1?
2. You're right.
In case you lost one.
You remember, you ever see that movie Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah.
That guy's got them on, the black glasses or whatever. Yeah.
Well, it was a good movie, wasn't it?
That was a Vietnam movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, later on I met some guys that were in Big Red 1. If you remember in the movie, he gets into this little traffic jam, and it's Big Red 1 that's heading to, in that scene, and they had a tough time over there. They're out of Fort Riley, Kansas.
They said Platoon was the most realistic of the war movies?
Well,
Who knows?
I don't
We'd have
know.
been
I
in the war.
wasn't in Vietnam. I was in Desert Storm, which was a totally different war than Vietnam.
Do you ever wish you could go into a 12-week boot camp,
Absolutely.
4 hours a day, and
Absolutely.
somebody make you do it?
I would love to go to boot camp right now because the mental piece of yelling at me, I could care less about it. Just the exercise and
The have to?
yeah, get back in shape. Yeah, when I came out of boot camp, I was 170, 175,
How tall are you?
5'10".
So that's almost perfect weight for
Yeah,
5'10".
I was in pretty good shape then. And like I said, a couple of times I said some things. The drill sergeants, next thing you know, I'm doing 20, 30 push-ups. And I kind of stopped talking. But
Could you do 3 push-ups now?
I could, but I'll decline right now. I'll probably turn solid red. No, I'm not in the shape
But 3 months can get you in that. How heavy were you when you went in?
I was probably 145, 150. I'd gained some weight. I mean, because you also eat 3 meals a day. But I was.
So you gained 30 pounds?
No, I wouldn't say I gained. Maybe 10 pounds, something like that. But more.
It was
more
muscle.
muscle than it was anything. I came out. I was in the best shape of my life was when I came out of boot camp.
You know, somebody ought to start that, a boot
They
camp
have
for
them.
adults. Yeah, but I mean, like, make you pay a $50,000 deposit,
Oh, I had a friend
and
of mine.
you get 40 back if you complete it.
I had a friend of mine who went to, they call it a fat farm. It's probably not the most politically correct name, but out in Flagstaff, Arizona, or something like that.
That's where they did the ayahuasca and stuff, right?
Yeah, so you can actually pay somebody a couple $1,000s and they will act like you're in boot camp. Whereas in the Army, you actually got paid to be there.
Yeah,
Not
and you
much.
couldn't really leave the Army.
No, not without a disciplinary.
Yeah, or
I was honorably discharged, so I don't want that dishonorably discharged on my DD-14.
So when you got out, you were able to, they said, we'll pay for you to go to school?
I got my GI Bill and literally like.
What was that, like a coupon?
No, it's all out of Fort Benjamin Harris, I believe, or something like that. The admission office at Central Florida took care of that, but they knew about it. And they had a VA office there to help you. But yeah, I chose Central Florida because it was $33 a credit hour, and it took 120 hours to get a degree, plus some other fees, whatever, and I could make my GI Bill work. So it was an economic decision to go there.
You went 4 years
4 years.
and got out of school for computer
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah. Management, information systems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Dealing with all kinds of data, what we talked about earlier. Yeah.
Did you were you inspired to that for some reason? Why not be a,
It was what I was good at, I guess. You know, I guess, you know, I wasn't in the 80s. It was like I said, you go off to college or whatever, and I was trying to figure out, you know, what am I good at? And for some reason, I took a liking to how systems work, how to move data around and how to display it on a monitor and all that kind of stuff.
my youngest, he doesn't know what he wants to do. And he's like starting to go to Lee. And unless you know what you're wanting to do, it's hard to get him to go.
Yeah. Well, my oldest, as you said, had no idea, but the good Lord blessed him. He got out of college and worked over here at Dayton at 84 Lumber. His upper management took a liking to him and moved him out to California. My youngest is going to follow my wife in the medical world. He's going to be something in the medical world.
My oldest is going to do that.
Yeah.
That's tough too.
It is. Yeah. Amy teaches over at the Lee School of Nursing, and their books are like this. Computer books are about here. Nursing books are like unbelievable. There's so much they have to know. And you're wanting to. So I'm lucky they hit the ground running, or they kind of know what they wanted to do.
Mine want to. My youngest just doesn't know exactly what to do, and it's hard to go to Lee College and spend all of that money and not know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You almost don't want to force them. Save you a
You
lot
don't
of
want
money
to
not
waste
to.
the money. Yeah.
Buy them piece of real estate for that much.
Well, teach them how to build housing.
That's kind of a dying thing now.
Is it?
Yeah, or, well, unless you own a big commercial company or something. I think that's the way it's going to go in the future.
Yeah.
You own a big commercial company.
Is it?
Or, so,
I see all the permits that get pulled.
that are in the county, right?
Yeah, the county, yeah. Because that, well, Ron Wilson was kind of the, now Bentley Thompson is back.
Yeah, he's back, isn't he?
And I chat with him, and he gives me an update, talking about forecasting and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. They explained to me, when you build a house, you have to say the value is going to be a certain amount, and that's what you base the permit off of, and all that. That's how it works. And he tells me that because it's revenue to the county budget, which I'm concerned about.
Yeah, he was here. How long's he been gone?
I think maybe a year. I think.
Well, it hadn't been long. Maybe a year and a half at the
Yeah.
most.
So I was glad to see him back.
Me too.
I'm glad he's happy.
I like him. He's a lifelong Clevelander if we'll keep him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's back for good.
Although I think he lives in Dayton.
Does he? Well,
Yeah,
okay.
maybe right outside of. He may live on 58, out on 58 Highway or something. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah.
But he's from around here. Same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, he's easy to talk to, easy to work with. When I request information, he always sends it over.
Mm-hmm.
I'll call him and say, hey, I need like 5 minutes of your time if I have something to chat with him about.
Mm-hmm.
He's really good to work with.
There's 14 commissioners?
14 commissioners.
Is that too many?
That's a good
I mean,
question.
the city has, what, 7?
7, yeah. I don't know if it's too many, and I'll make it relative. There are other counties that are much smaller than we are that have like 20, 25 commissioners. That is way too many.
Is that a different form of government, or is it what?
The law says you have to have a minimum of 9 and a maximum of 25, and we have 14, and we have 2 per district.
So,
It may be about right number. I mean,
Well,
there
who
was some
determines-
talk when we redistrict about going down some, but it never had any support. So
who determines the districts?
we do. We just went through. I was the
Well, who-
chairman of the redistricting committee.
So y'all yourself
Yeah.
redistrict.
Redistrict. Yeah.
I thought that would be something done by the state or something. So
No,
that's done in-house too.
We did the redistricting. Now we have to use the data from the U.S. Census. So when they sent us the data, my district had too many people in it. They have a number. They call it the prime number, and they give you a 5% or above and 5% below of what that number could be, and your district had to be in that range.
So your squiggly lines trying to make it all.
Right. So I had too
fit.
many people in mine. And then the 5th district, Commissioner Slater and Commissioner Goins, they didn't have enough. And we actually border, so that was going to be an easy. That was basically, they were going to have to take some of my people so I could come down and they could come up. The 2nd district and the 4th district had to do kind of the same. At the time, Charlotte Peak was on commission, and Louis Alford in the 2nd district, they got together and it wasn't very difficult. It wasn't controversial at all. But pretty much the districts are all the same as far as the number of people within 5 points.
And does the state have to approve it? Say, yep, that's right.
We sent it up to them so that it could be put into, I guess, their books or whatever. But they came down. I invited them to come down to watch us do it, and they just sat there and yeah, it was pretty much our decision.
Does it sometimes amaze you how little the government will watch some things and how much they'll watch other stuff?
Absolutely.
Like that to me is important where the lines are.
Yeah.
Because you could finagle.
Yeah. Well,
And
especially at the congressional level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then you get down to something that you think, well, why would they care that I haven't renewed my license tag for 30 days?
Oh,
Something like that.
Yeah,
They'll be,
yeah.
and now they mail you that.
That's right. You can do it online. Donna Simpson, I think you can do all that online.
No, yeah, I know. I take that back. They don't even mail you.
Oh, okay.
Isn't it the one you have to keep up yourself now, I think? I think you have to keep it up yourself.
I don't know. When it's time to renew the tags, usually I walk in because the commission room is right next to Donna Simpson.
Yeah.
And I'll usually just say, hey, can you guys help me out? And write them a check, and it's all done. So
I remember
guess I'm spoiled in that guess.
I remember in Bradley County where all offices, government offices, were open half a day Saturday so that the people that were working could come in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now I guess they have to have a computer to get online
Yeah. A lot
to
of,
hope somebody sees the email.
yeah.
All government is getting more to where you do everything online and there's not a, it's not like the old days when everybody rode to town on Saturdays to shop and thought about something they needed to do at the courthouse.
Now, have you been to the county commission or the county website? It's got all the elected officials and all the departments.
I go to Stanley's sometimes.
Stanley Thompson,
Yeah.
you can go there, you can see a parcel and what it's appraised at and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the trustee's office is online. I think, even the road department, I think, has stuff online.
I'm not sure about the registrar's office. I'm not sure how to.
Register Deeds at Donna Swaffer's office?
Yeah, is it online or do you
I
have to
think she
pay a
has,
fee?
and I know she's got an initiative to digitize a lot of those documents. It's been a couple of years where she came in and we chatted about that and moving towards a lot of making it digitized. I know Donna digitizes a lot of stuff.
It makes you wonder. I remember the old lawyers when stuff would go in and see the last deed recorded, and that was this book that was, here was the old book and here's the new book, and now this one's old and this one's new. And so you could look at stuff in chronological because where it was located in the room. And so by doing that online, I'd always wonder,
That stuff.
if you're title searching or looking for an easement or something really important.
Yeah. And that stuff gets to be very, very important. Like, they recorded something back in 1932 or whatever, and that was the last time that document was touched.
Yeah.
But that's still in play. I mean.
Yeah, and it may have an easement across, I may have an easement across your property.
Exactly. And we found that out over on Irvine Road. I mean, there's a little strip of land, and that's also interesting. One of the committees is called the tax committee, and Crystal Freiberg, who's the county attorney, will come in and say, we're going to sell this or something like that. And there's some parcels of land that are landlocked, or not so much landlocked, but there's no way to get to them by a road. And why would anybody ever want a piece of land that you don't have a road or sidewalk or anything? It's just you got a parcel here, a parcel
And
here.
an individual can't sell a landlocked piece of property.
So
I don't know if, I guess the government can.
Yeah,
I bought one.
Usually it's one of the adjacent properties that wants it.
Usually it's something somebody's forgot.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Like this one, the points didn't meet up or something.
Right. We had that over there by Hopewell Elementary years ago. The little piece of land, probably the size of this desk right here, or whatever, that had to be taken care of.
I bought a piece of property from a tax sale, and I thought that when you bought it from a tax sale, that all you had to do was pay the taxes, but it had a lien on it.
Oh,
It didn't wipe out the lien.
no.
So I learned that lesson.
Did you pay the lien?
Yeah,
Well,
I
that's
paid.
not my
No,
business, but-
that one I finagled around it, got some documents.
There you go.
But the other one had a farmer's home recapture on it, where they had subsidized the payment
Okay.
for the owner, and then when they foreclosed on it and I bought it, it's in the deed, it said I had to pay back the recapture amount.
Okay, that's
It was a shocker. It was like
Yeah.
$56,000 on a $40,000 house. And so it makes you wonder about all this online stuff. I want to feel it, and like that.
yeah. There's still people you're gonna. I think we're in this world now, or in this area now, where you got the younger generations, my kids and yours, whatever, that pull up an app and they'll be able to pay their Verizon bill and whatnot.
I bet mine couldn't write you a check.
Okay.
They wouldn't know
Or
how.
now when you go to a restaurant, you have a little console there. You tap it 3 times
Yeah.
and all that. You know, back in the old days, the waitress or waiter would bring you out your check and all that kind of stuff. So you still have those that I want that paper, I want that tangible and whatnot. And then you got we got both worlds going on right now. You got a hybrid of both of them.
Well, and it's going to
And
go.
the companies have to keep that in mind. I mean,
It's going to have to go online. It's not going to. They're not going to stop it.
No,
It's all
no.
going to be like they cannot stop it.
but I think the whole world found out that we may want to rethink, or not so much rethink, but take care of the security. About a month ago, they had what they call the blue screen
Yeah.
of death,
Yeah.
and wiped out computers and the airlines, the hospitals, and stuff like that, all because of one little program in Windows 11. And
I remember that. It was like 3 weeks ago. Wasn't
Yeah,
it? Something
yeah.
like that.
They call it the blue screen of death.
I
That
think
was
there
the-
were like 2 banks here that had that trouble.
Yeah,
weren't
and
there?
one of the hospitals down in Chattanooga canceled all non-emergency operations and stuff. Delta Airlines stopped flying and stuff like that, and all because of one little piece of code in the registry.
You know, your mind has been trained to take data, forecast it, project, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I bet you get almost troubled with what you see could happen. That makes sense?
Yeah, that gets me into trouble. I was a couple months ago. We were in a meeting, the finance meeting, and you're looking at you have cash flow, right? That basically tells you how much you have at any point in time. But you also have budgets, and just because you budget something in July, we just finished the budget. Doesn't mean you necessarily have the money to purchase what you budgeted, but you will within the budget. Make a long story short, I looked over to one of the commissioners. I was like, okay, if you spend this money, then you're going to have to say no to a couple other things, and that's life too.
At best. At best.
I mean, that's every family at the kitchen table is go. If we buy, a new 55-inch television, we're not going to be able to buy this, that, and the other. You got to make decisions. And that's what I tend to do on the commission is like, if we do this, understand the downstream consequences.
I always wonder why they, in these, any type of meeting like that, they'll say, well, let's budget this for that. Why not just say in that budget, the percentage we bring in goes to that?
I think,
Instead
if
of-
I understand you correctly, the way the budget works, the county budget, is we have what we call different funds. Like you have the general fund, the schools have their fund, roads has their fund, debt service, stuff like that. And we take someone's property tax and we break it into pieces. And we say X amount, a percentage of it is going to go to the general fund.
Yeah.
That's where Steve Lawson and EMS and all that's in the general fund. Then a certain percentage is going to go to roads, Tom Collins and those guys. Then schools gets obviously the largest portion. They have the largest budget. So we do kind of break it up into pieces, and then it all comes together in one budget.
Boy, it gets complicated, isn't it?
It is
me.
at first, yeah. And it took me about a year or two to understand the county budget and how it works. But once you get an understanding of it, it makes sense.
Do you think all these new houses being built here is going to increase our budget, right?
Building houses increases your budget because you take a piece of property, as you well know, that probably is only worth $10,000. You put a house on it and it's worth $300,000. So obviously the revenue is going to come in. But on the other side of it is the expense side. You're going to have a family in there perhaps, and they're going to want to go to school, and they're going to want
Tile in the road
they're
fixed or
going to
whatever.
want security. They want a police force to call if something happens and stuff like that. So residents don't necessarily pay for themselves. It's the industry that really pays for itself, that pays that keeps things going.
And let's face it, by the time Stanley gets it on the tax roll and they pay, it's 2 years out.
Or 4 years out,
And
yeah.
it's because it's even the year that
Yeah, he
that
goes
they're
by-
building it. You know, there's
Yeah.
1 year they're building it.
That's right, yeah, that's what you're
So
saying.
you could be 5 years before you realize that income.
Exactly on that.
And theoretically, in theory, when they do that reassessment, it's supposed to just divide it up equal again.
Reappraisal or reassessment?
Reappraisal.
Reappraisal,
Yeah.
yeah. When he says now your house is worth
300.
300 and it used to be 270.
Right.
Yeah.
So now the budget, now instead of paying $100 tax, I pay 95 because
In theory, that's
In
right.
theory.
Yeah, that word theory is very
Yeah.
important in what you just said
Yeah.
because, and he is, I don't know if you chat with Stanley or not or keep up with him, but he's really great to work with. He is going through reappraisal right now.
oh, is it right now?
Yeah, he's going through it right now. And what will happen is he will come back and he'll have every property, every parcel reappraised. And then based off that reappraisal and the tax rate that the county commission sets is the revenue piece of it. Well, the law says the county cannot benefit from the new reappraisals. In other words, you go up 5% on reappraisals, then we have to come down on our tax rate 5%. So the bottom line is it. But at the individual parcel level, your appraisal may be 6%, where so
Yeah,
you're going to
that's-
be a little off. You're
Yeah,
gonna be a little off.
obviously.
Yeah.
But the whole should be a,
Yeah. So if I made, I'll use easy numbers of in property tax in one annual year, 47 million is about what I have or what we have. And he goes up and does 5% increase of reappraisals overall across the board. Then I've got to come down 5%. Yeah.
theoretically, if you
47,
got,
yeah.
if everything else remains the
But we
same.
do get the growth. So that piece of property that was worth 10,000 and now 300, we do get the benefit of the growth piece of that in there. But just a house that was already like mine and yours, it used to be worth 200, now it's worth 250. That, yeah, the tax rate's got to reflect that. And that's the certified tax rate, and that will happen next year.
What do you see the reason why real estate goes up in value every year?
Supply and demand, isn't it? Location, location, location. I mean,
I don't
the
think
number
it's,
of people who want houses here. I mean, Bradley County is on the map now, I think. I mean, and the number of people who want to buy here, and then you have somebody who says, "I want to get as much for this house as I possibly can," and
I think it's a ratcheting up effect.
what do you
If
mean?
if my house is worth 200,000 and you want to buy it, I'm not going to sell it to you for 200.
Yeah,
But if you want to buy it, I'll say it for 205.
But if you have two people, persons, buyer A and buyer B, and you get into this bidding war, which I understand happens, and you say I'm 200, and I'm like 200, D, I got 220. Are you going to turn 220 down?
But that's supply and demand.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm talking about if you just said it's a person has to pay more than it's worth, or the other person won't sell it.
That's
So
true.
you're 5% more than it's worth, or you're not going to get it out of their hands.
Right. I mean, that's
So I think it's a ratcheting up.
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
now you give 205. Now the neighbor says, "Well, it brought 205. Mine's worth 205. Well, I'll give you 205. No, I won't give you 205.
Well,
I'll give you 210. Okay. So now it's a ratcheting up effect.
That's right. Yeah, I call it churning because that's what's going on. Churning, and you get the comps. You know, like over here in Bowden Hills, where
All of a sudden they're ratcheted up.
Yeah, I mean, when we get the appraisals, we're like, I never thought in a million years I could get that much for my house, but Stanley seems to think I can. And I think all the commissioners do, get a lot of emails and a lot of correspondence after a reappraisal, like, what in the world? But just to be,
Yeah, this
just
will
to
be the
thorough,
year-
You can appeal Stanley if you. He probably don't want me to say that, but
He's probably right on it.
he's
I mean, he didn't come up with it willy-nilly.
Well, he's got all the data.
Yeah,
He's
he
got-
did.
Him and Arnold have all the data, and they've been
If
doing it.
Arnold says it's worth $100, it's worth $100. He's pretty well on it.
He's pretty good. Yeah.
Do you think But boy, this will be the year that they say Stanley's out of range. This will be the year.
This will be an interesting year.
Yeah.
And there's another thing that's extremely technical and extremely complex called the ratio study that is based off of that. And, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version to be really quick about it. But basically, industries have to pay on their real estate every year. You do self-appraisal, but every year you send that in. On the property tax, that's every 4 years. That's what Stanley does.
Yeah.
So you got one portion of your property tax you pay every year. The corporations and those guys pay that. And that tax rate doesn't change until after Stanley does the reappraisal and the county commission reassesses it. So they get a discount later on. It's extremely complicated. But last year, the county lost $1.4 million because of it. Because the appraisals were here, but the comps and what people were paying for houses was up here. So that difference between the two is causing this discount. So I've been working with the legislators to kind of fix that. It's
so complicated.
It is complicated, yeah. But it does affect the county's revenue and the city.
Does the county have much zoning?
Yeah, rezoning?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
like commercial and residential, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the rezoning has kind of been the hot topic of the last year. If you're talking about
Say you're in
the planning commission, you go before the planning commission.
Yeah, but what about for like commercial in the county? Y'all have commercial zoning in the county?
I don't think we have as much. We may have some, but not as much because sewer is a big thing, I think, right?
But say you wanted to have a bit.
Well, the county's never going to get in the sewer business, I don't think.
But say you wanted to have a commercial business in the county out on a desolate road. Can you do that? Or you have to be zoned
Well,
for
you have
commercial?
to be zoned. Would it be C1 or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we have.
because I remember when the Bradley County had no zoning.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah, there's no.
That's right. I was
It
talking
was a
Bentley
big.
about that.
It was a big argument about zoning and
Yeah, and now we got the growth plan committee that's meeting or something like that. But yeah, I was actually talking to Bentley the other day. He came over and chatted with me. We were talking about zoning and rezoning because we've had some. Sometimes what we do on the commission is somewhat controversial. Somebody's going to be happy, somebody's not going to be happy, and rezoning has been that way last year or so.
But that's when you're rezoning stuff from the city into the county.
No, that's annexation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard much zoning arguments.
The rezoning one, this got a lot of press, and that's over with. But we had a piece of property behind the fire station off of Dalton Pike. The county sold or agreed to sell SPCA the property. And
That's right. I
and it
remember
needed to
that.
be in order for them to build the structure that they wanted. It had to be rezoned. So it wasn't just you buy the property because that was easy for the most part. It had to be rezoned, and that's where it got controversial. Some of the
I remember that.
Yeah, so that some of that, but annexation is when the city. You take that piece of land that used to be in the county, now that piece of land is now in the city. And
Now, how is Charleston affected by that?
by the
Charleston,
the annexation?
These will sound like dumb questions, but
No.
if you're in Charleston, the city of Charleston, can Bradley County, whatever the city of if you're in the city of Charleston, then Bradley County has no say-so over the zoning ordinances in the city of Charleston, correct?
I believe that's correct. Yeah, because we don't
And
have
that would be the same for,
Cleveland.
for Cleveland.
Yeah.
You know what I've often wondered is, how could you start a city now if you started one from scratch? Didn't Conway Twitty have Twitty City? Was that a real city?
That's an interesting thing. I mean, I've actually thought that myself.
I mean,
like, what if?
what's the steps?
What if 250 people out there at Bucks Pocket said, you know what, we want the city of Bucks Pocket.
City of Bucks
Now, I
Pocket.
think they would have to apply to the state where they get their charter, in
Would Bradley County
they'd have to form a city council and all that kind of stuff.
and go by whatever the rules
Yeah.
to charter?
Yeah, because Charleston outsources a lot of their stuff. I mean, we're in a contract with them for their fire protection. They do have some law enforcement, but
you wouldn't
they don't
have
have
to-
any schools, right? I mean, all the city
I guess
kids
not,
go to
yeah.
Bradley County, so they kind of pick and choose what services they want to provide over there in Charleston.
Yeah, it'd be their own. You could be you could say, well, we're a Buck's Pocket city. Well, what's the benefits? Oh, we don't have any.
Yeah.
You could just not provide any.
Yeah.
You just say, we just want to be in the city,
You just
in
wanna be
our city.
I want to be a
So-
citizen of Buck's Pocket.
So if whoever the powers that be allowed them to be a city, wouldn't they be getting out of any county zoning? I mean,
Yeah, I think they would.
Would the county be able to say, hey, we're not going to relinquish our control over this property?
No, I think like when because I asked Crystal this one time, when the city, I'm thinking of Cleveland, but when the city of Cleveland, because this is happening a lot over on Michigan Avenue, which is in my district, a lot of annexation and stuff like that, then how it gets rezoned, that first, I think it's Mills Creek, there was a little townhouses right there. And it actually was, the parcel was actually divided. Part of it was county, part of it was city.
Yeah.
And it just took, it was basically a bureaucracy really,
Yeah.
but we had to do it and the city had to do their part. But once you're part of the city, then they handle all rezoning.
But I just wonder if you're, and this is crazy.
Because when they do annex, and especially when it's not continuous, they send over a resolution. It's called an interlocal agreement, and they agree to provide all the services. They have to spell out what they're going to provide. The city does.
So if you was Buck's Pocket and wanted to create your own city, maybe you'd have to spell out what services you're going to provide.
Yeah, I think you do in your charter, and that's in Cleveland.
Because that could affect Bradley County's budget and everything else. So it's got to be.
You're still going to pay county property tax.
Would the rules be overlaid?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like say you're Bradley County, and property has to be this big. A lot has to be this big, but we want to form our own city, and we want our lots to be bigger. So, well, you can't. We've already got previous rules here that are in place.
I don't know if they're grandfather clause then or not. I think
That's a good
the
question.
charter, when they did the charter or whatever, but the charter spells out pretty much how the government. It's kind of like their mini constitution. It spells out how everything is going to be
But
operated.
the county would still have to relinquish their control.
Well, they would relinquish the zoning.
What if I wanted to?
But the city of Charleston and Cleveland still have to use Stanley's appraisal numbers. So when he appraises your house for X amount
for county taxes.
Yeah, but he says your house is worth $300,000. In the city of Cleveland and the city of Charleston, when they do their tax, they set their tax rate.
Yeah. I
They
get
set
a
their
bill
tax
from.
rate,
I got some property in
But they
Charleston.
have to use his $300,000.
So the Bradley County would, even though you formed your own city,
You have to use
you'd
Stanley's
have to
numbers.
use Stanley's numbers to
Yeah.
pay because you're still in that county. You still owe a pittance or a reverence to the county that you're in.
Yeah, there's no city appraiser.
Yeah. So what if I wanted to rezone my office into Puerto Rico? Would that be possible?
You want to rezone your office?
Say I did. Say I wanted to rezone part of the county into Puerto Rico.
I don't follow you.
Well, I mean that's spot zoning too,
Yeah.
right? I mean we take. I just wonder. Do all the residents have the rights to say, we don't want a part of an annexed city of Puerto Rico in our?
Oh, I see what you mean. I
You know what I'm
apologize. So
I'm
years ago, they changed the rules. They used to be forced annexation, where they basically said, guess what? You're now part of the city. Welcome. And you're like, oh, no. Then they changed it where you actually have to apply to be a part of the city, Cleveland. So that was always the thing that we talked about on the commission is keep in mind all this annexation that's happening now, the catalyst to this, the beginning parts of it, was a request from the owner to be now a part of the city of Cleveland.
Yeah, so say if I had a piece of property in the county and I requested to be a part of Puerto Rico, I mean, you got to allow me to do that if I want to do the other.
Well,
I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, if I'm a neighbor,
I don't know about Puerto Rico.
well, I'm just using.
Yeah.
I mean, why Cleveland? Because it's.
Well,
why
because
why not let me annex into Charleston? And if I'm down here in
yeah,
Bucks
I
Park.
understand what you're saying. It all boils down to sewer, I think, because I think almost every single one, I can't think of one off the top of my head where someone had 50, 100 acres or whatever, and they requested annexation from the city.
Yeah.
The intent wasn't to sell that so that development could happen. And high
Yeah.
density development requires sewer because you can only have so many houses with septic, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, I know that sewer is
so that's
the reason, but
But I don't think you would ask to be a part of Cleveland and just say, and keep your land vacant. I mean,
you could.
you could.
I could request to be annexed into Charleston. If I'm going to be annexed, if the sewer's not an issue, just be annexed into Charleston.
Yeah, and
even
then-
though it's just a hodgepodge or whatever, like one of those quilts they call when they patchwork quilt.
That's right. And then you can say you're a citizen of Charleston.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. And then somebody,
Of course, Charleston would have-
somebody calls you up and they say, I want to talk to you, D. And you're like, oh, I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be down in Cleveland.
yeah, I've used that a bunch. Have you ever told somebody who's going to be out of town, but you're just going to be
heading
in
up to Charleston,
Dalton? Or Dalton.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, I like Charleston as far as being there. I really like it. They got a grocery store. They do have an elementary school.
That's going to be interesting to see what they do with this growth plan. You know, right now you've got the city, the county, and or Cleveland, the county, and Charleston. I think they've met once, and they're going to be meeting here in September and to rethink all the lines and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see.
And that's really forecasting, isn't it?
Yes.
That's because they're thinking about 20 years down the road, not 5.
Well, that's what they called it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 20-year plan.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting to see what Charleston's vision is.
You ever thought about what Cleveland would be? Now let's just talk really way out futuristic.
All right.
I mean, bizarre, just crazy thing.
Crazy.
If you were here before the interstate, you would have been. If Bradley County was here before the interstate, the whole thinking about growth plans was one way, based on no interstate,
Right.
based on no TVA. All right, now all of a sudden we have it. Now we're basing it on that. But back in 19 so and so, they had no idea we was going to get an interstate or a TVA. So what I'm saying is there, and before that they had no idea a railroad was going to be here. So they're, if they had,
Railroads go back to the Civil War, but yeah.
so say you were here in 1840,
Yeah.
you say, well, we're going to have a 20-year growth plan, but they didn't know that in 1858 they was going to have the railroad come through.
Exactly.
So
Well, they didn't know that you were going to have a Civil War 3 years later.
right, so so what could really?
Oh, they probably did.
Us being in Cleveland and having the interstate here, that's always going to be the
Right.
main artery.
So,
Unless they say, okay, we're going to start using railroads now.
and the good news is, to a certain degree, that there is an organization called Thrive. I don't know if you've heard of them. And they're kind of asking those questions.
Is that the Carolyn Vaughn? Is that her name?
I apologize, I don't remember her name. But
They think way out there, right?
They are. They're thinking way out there, and it's not just Bradley County or Hamilton County. They're thinking Southeast Tennessee,
Yeah.
East Alabama, and Georgia, and how we all. Because you're absolutely right. You got interstate coming out of Atlanta. You got interstate coming out of Birmingham. Interstate coming from Nashville, and then everything basically heading up to the Midwest. And you got these ports, that come out of Georgia, Fort Stewart, and all that area, Savannah area, bringing up stuff. They're looking at the big picture on all this stuff. I mean, you probably heard a couple of years ago the Corridor K, an interstate from Chattanooga over to like Charlotte or something like that.
Yeah,
They would have to cut through mountains and what all that would, everything from the environmental to economic impact and all that kind of stuff.
And it would even take traffic off 75.
Yeah, and you see what they're doing to 75. They're now pay as you go kind of thing going on, which they do down in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, one of the meetings I was in, I mean, the future of 75 is to be 3-lane all the way to Knoxville. I mean, long term. The other thing is another exit right there by Prospect Elementary. That exit, I mean, it's not an exit now, but eventually it's supposed to be an exit, and that's a straight shot into Cleveland when you come off that. So you'll have exit 20, I guess it'll be 22, 23, something like that, and then obviously 25. So.
Yeah, but I believe
they've got people who are actually watching all this stuff.
Yeah, because you'd have to be thinking different than the 20-year growth plan.
Oh, yeah.
You'd have to be thinking literally futuristic. You ever thought about if everybody starts driving these? I watch this guy on the internet all the time, and I found him to be right 80% of the time.
I'll take 80%.
I mean, he's really smart.
Okay.
And he says that within 5 years, that 60% of us will be driving electric cars.
Oh, in 60 months.
No, in 5 years, 60% of us will be driving electric cars. And because the maintenance on them is so less, he thinks that eventually insurance companies will say, we can't insure that car, it's not self-driving.
But California is finding out that they're declining in their, but he could be right. I mean, it'll be interesting.
But just think how
the price point has to be right. And
just think how quieter the interstates would be.
Well, there's that. But the interstates are going to need more maintenance because the electric vehicles are heavier. They're 8,000 pounds more. So the interstates
I hadn't thought about that.
They're going to take a pounding.
That'd be a big difference.
Yeah, and from the revenue point of view, the state took care of this to a certain degree. And I see it in the road department. The road department, they send over their budget, Tom Collins, and this is the first year that they have a revenue line for electric vehicles.
Is that right?
So they basically get two funds. They get the property tax that we put in their budget from the county, and then they get gasoline or fuel tax. There's all different types of gas, jet fuel, diesel, gasoline, kerosene, all these different types of fuels. They get money from both of those. And now this year in their 24-25, they have a line, I think it's like 20,000 for electric vehicles. Because now you have to, if you own an electric vehicle, you have to pay an extra couple $100 when you renew your tag or something like that.
Because the cars are more heavier on the road.
They're heavier on the road, and obviously, if you have an electric vehicle, you're not paying the gas tax. You're not,
so they don't.
So they're going to get you.
Yeah, and it probably 8,000 pounds more on a.
Yeah, those batteries.
That'd be a big deal.
Yeah. But one of the things I was chatting with some of the folks at the chamber about is what's going to happen with all these batteries. You have landfills. I mean, you got all the where are all the batteries going to go from the?
I think that probably you'll pull up to instead of pulling up and pumping gas or charging your battery, you'll just pull up and they'll just change your battery out.
You think that's a pretty good kind? I mean,
just say.
Yeah, a little arm comes down there, pulls in, puts it.
Yeah, or you have instead of saying, fill her up, check my windows, change my battery, and wash my windows. It may go back to.
That's a neat concept, but then all the car companies are going to have to agree on standards that everybody's going to use a 2-prong battery.
Yeah, to be that sort of thing.
That your car.
Well, you see signs
your car battery is going to be this kind of shape. It's kind of.
Well, you see signs that we service this type of battery.
This is you're a D. Uses a D battery over here for the.
But before they get to that, they will get these batteries where they're going 600 and 800 miles
They've got to.
on a charge.
Because we're a big country.
Yeah, and
I mean, you go from, I mean, for the most part here to Knoxville is no big deal. But when you get out to west, you know, to Houston and Dallas, El Paso, the distance between communities is really big. You've been out west, right? Yeah, it's a whole different world out there. I would never get an electric vehicle and drive from El Paso to Phoenix.
boy, if you get out, I've been places in Nevada. If you had car trouble, you'd die
Yeah, you're in trouble.
because there are 4 cars coming by,
Yeah,
and they may not stop.
Exactly. You better have
Cell
your,
phones don't work.
Yeah, you better be a good Boy Scout because you're going to be there for a while.
I was in Nevada. I went out to Area 51.
You went out there?
I went out there. I went out there. I drove to. I went to Las Vegas. Got a rental car. Drove. I guess it's 4 hours. Saw maybe 10 cars. I mean, it's.
You went up to the gate like.
I went to the Alien Inn, to that little restaurant.
Yeah.
And
I've seen it on television.
Yeah, I went there, and got a hamburger, and then I left there and went to the black mailbox.
Okay.
That they call the black mailbox.
Okay.
And then I drove another 45 minutes on a dirt road.
And you did that with a engine, not a
Yeah,
battery.
yeah, yeah. Because there's one place in Alamos or something. It was just enough gas. If I left Las Vegas, went to Alamos, and then went to. They have gas, and Rachel, Nevada is where I went. There's populations like 60. It's
Yeah.
just a whole nother world.
I was.
But when I got to that place that had the sign,
Yeah.
there was a gray truck about 50 yards away. You couldn't tell if it was a man or woman, but there's 2 people in it.
Okay.
And there was just a sign that said, don't cross here or
Don't-
deadly force will
deadly
be
use, yeah.
And I just turned around and left.
And they got people who camp out and watch.
Well, they don't camp out next to that sign.
No,
Because they'll watch it.
I've seen them others or whatever, and they play the whole government thing where. But my son and I went to Vegas for that building expo thing back in February. The Home Builders
Yeah.
Association or whatever.
Yeah.
Dennis Epperson and Blake
Yeah.
Allison and all
Yeah.
those guys, pretty cool. And we were taking off. I looked over and this white plane, no markings or anything, was taxiing out, and you knew that was the plane that takes workers out to
To
Area
51,
51.
yeah.
Nobody actually lives there, if I understand. They fly out there, do their jobs, and then fly back into Vegas.
Well, I know one thing. They don't want you to see whatever's back there. I
Yeah.
know that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's guarded.
You ever studied that Bob Lazar, the guy that they interviewed that was supposedly worked there? Bob Lazar.
It sounds familiar, but no.
That's the guy that claimed he worked on one of the spaceships.
Okay. No, I hadn't. I've seen some of the on the back of the History Channel. You know, that was they would talk about Area 51
Yeah.
and all the kind of stuff, and some of the people that.
That restaurant I went to, that Rachel, Nevada, I ordered a hamburger, and I said, "Hey, is there really aliens here?" And she said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Cleveland, Tennessee." And she said, "Well, you're alien to here."
There you go. So I mean,
So she said, "I guess so. If we got one here," she said, "I was there with my cousin."
so yeah, that's federal property, right? So they.
Not Rachel, but the Area 51. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can't get in there.
Yeah. So dealing with the feds is a whole
A
different.
whole
ballgame.
other thing.
Yeah.
Those mountains are
The
so
city,
huge.
the county is one thing. Dealing with the state, but then when you deal with the feds, they're a whole different ballgame.
I want to think it's just a whole nother. We don't know. Maybe we never did. Nobody ever did. You want to think that it was. But you enjoy being county commissioner?
I do. I get to participate and contribute.
How's Tom do?
Tom,
Yeah.
our chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does good. He does good. Yeah.
He's one of my best friends.
Yeah, you guys hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he, Louis, I'll tell you that about Johnny Mull was chairman, and then we had a changeover with election, and he said, "I'd like to give it a shot at being chair," and I was like, Okay, but the first couple of meetings were rough, but he'll
figure it out.
He's got it down now. Yeah,
He was a drill sergeant.
Yeah, no. He was an officer. I think he came out as a light colonel or colonel when he retired, and he was Vietnam. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
He was in 60. I think he was at the Tet Offensive.
yeah.
Tet Offensive.
He and I chatted a little bit about it. I mean, you'll notice usually vets who are in a foreign war, they'll chat with each other about stuff, but they usually don't chat with other people.
Tom's going to be vague about
He
it.
and I chatted a little bit. His Vietnam and how he was treated when he got back home. Because when we came home from Desert Storm, they had a parade for us. I mean,
They spit on him.
yeah, no, man,
How long was you at Desert Storm?
I was there for a whole year. We got there. Let's see, Saddam went into Kuwait about this time in August of '90, and we got there the first week of October.
So you were there at the very beginning,
Pretty much
basically.
the very beginning, yeah.
Did you think, hey, I may get into the war here? Or was it just sort of like an
No,
office job?
At first, no, I thought it was all a bunch of
Police,
posturing
yeah.
and stuff. But we did know that we were going to war way before I think everybody. Remember, still, the internet's not a big thing
Yeah, right.
in the 90s, whatever.
You said, what's his name, standing there with a microphone.
I remember Bob Hope and Johnny Bench and some country singer, I can't remember. They came and did the U.S. tour.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
basically came to our little village. It was called Escon Village, and they set up a little like a 18-wheeler trailer or whatever. And Bob Hope got up there and said some jokes and stuff like that. And we're all all the soldiers there like, oh, this is cool,
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. And then when that was Thanksgiving, so they had a big turkey dinner and everything. It was not the same for Christmas, because Christmas came obviously about a month later, and it was working 16, 18-hour days getting ready, getting all of our equipment ready to go invade. So we knew then that something
Was you in the invasion?
I was in the aviation unit, so we flew over and basically recorded everything the Iraqis were saying and sent it back home to be translated. So that was my little part.
I think Matt Coleman
But
was
we
there.
saw Matt was. I think he was, yeah.
I believe he was.
Yeah, he was in Afghanistan, I think.
Yeah.
But, you saw, and going into Kuwait and the oil fields that they burned after all that stuff. But yeah, Tom does a good job on there. He and I came on the commission at the same time in 14. So he does a good job at being chair, keeping the meeting going.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty much all business with Tom.
Yeah. He's no nonsense, although he cares about. He also has a deep history of Cleveland.
Oh, he's been here his
That's
whole
what
life.
I love about some of these guys, chat with them, and I bring sometimes what I call the benefit of living in other cities and seeing how they messed up and made horrible decisions, and trying to say, let's not make those horrible decisions like Atlanta did. But Tom and Gary Davis, they had the benefit of. I mean, they remember how it looked before Paul Huff was ever here.
Tom probably remembers it before.
idea.
Tom probably remembers before Key Street was here.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, there was no Key Street
Really?
here. Yeah.
Okay. But I've never known Cleveland without a Paul Huff. So, I mean, and obviously you guys do.
Oh yeah, I remember they were trying their best
It used
not
to be a golf course or something, I was told, or driving range or something.
There was driving range came after it was already. Driving range came because, but I remember when they used to, E.O. Ross, they had meetings at E.O. Ross petitioning to stop the road coming through.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they agreed to have
I
it come
did not
through.
know that.
They agreed to have it come through as long as there was it was a thoroughfare and no businesses off the road.
Well, guess what?
So if that tells
They
you
got
anything.
more coming in next week. There's more development
It's
coming.
bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, all the way from Peerless underneath the interstate over their frontage. They still got development. Now the property has gotten so expensive. I think businesses have to really decide if they really want to go in there. But yeah, it's kind of congested over there.
I'd like to talk to those people in Thrive. They probably really
They're really
think-
good to chat with. I've enjoyed getting to know them.
How do you get a hold of them?
I can get you the info.
I'd like to talk to somebody like that.
I think you would enjoy that
Because that'd be
the forecasting of what's going to happen in our little part of the world.
yeah.
They've got a good grasp on it. Now, the part that I talk about, they talk a lot about infrastructure, interstates and, stuff like that. But broadband is the big thing that I chat with them about, people having high-speed internet.
I've got Starlink. It works just fine.
Does it?
Yeah. I'm
Cleveland Utilities is getting ready to.
Yeah, they're doing their own, yeah.
They're getting ready to get into the business of fiber optics. I played in a golf tournament yesterday with one of the guys, and he's like, it is like in weeks now. Mm-hmm. So the main thing I think that does is it brings competition. So to me, it's always a good thing when I can look at company A and company B, and you're $10 and you're $9. Is it worth that extra dollar for what you're providing, or do I go with the $9?
Well, right now,
right now you only have one, and it's $10. I mean,
well, Spectrum's not even going to come out,
yeah.
so you can forget that. They're listed as a competitor. They're not even going to come to your house.
Yeah.
That's they're not even going to come.
And Cleveland Utilities has stated that
At least they'll come.
If you have electricity from Cleveland Utilities, you can get high-speed internet.
I'm still waiting. I've been waiting for Spectrum for about 9 months. It's the craziest thing. I went ahead and got Starlink, and that hooked up 6 days. And there, as far as I know, I'm still waiting on.
And if there was competition, they would have to think about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And VEC is also doing stuff in the county as well. We're working with them.
Yeah.
To get us up. But that's what Thrive is like. Okay, everybody is going to be connected together through the internet.
They may be thinking of stuff we're not even thinking
They
of
are.
as far as,
they are.
I think there'll be a time when there's more. Have you ever been up in Polk County and saw all the traffic coming from Georgia going north?
Yeah, yes and no. I've seen the maps.
It's bizarre.
It is. All that stuff. There's like a loading, not a loading dock, but a staging area.
Oh yeah, I went down there. Was it Anniston? There's Anniston or
I forget, but so basically that's what I was saying. That the port of Savannah.
Yeah.
All the stuff comes up on rail.
Well, see, they got one there in. It's not Cohutta. Where is it? I know we're in Georgia.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Afton.
Afton.
Okay.
Or Eton, right?
Eton. Man, it looks like it's something to see.
It's a staging area, right?
I reckon my understanding is that when they bring this stuff in and when they put it on another truck, there's an argument to who pays the taxes.
I bet.
So it's a duty-free zone
Exactly. Yeah.
because there's not this is not unloaded. So it's a duty-free port.
Yeah, I'll get you the info on Thrive.
I'd like to talk to them.
I'll send it to you
Because I
tomorrow.
know I can go up to Polk County during not Sunday afternoon or Saturday, but you go up there on a Monday about 10 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's hustling.
It's more than you'd ever dream.
Exactly.
And they're not going to Chattanooga and down I-75.
No, I thought they were heading up to like Michigan. And
Well, before then they'd be going up to Chattanooga and down I-75. Like to Knoxville. Mm-hmm. They're cutting that off.
Yeah. And the new proposed interstates. That's like the Corridor K.
Yeah.
Between where's the other place? There's Atlanta and Chattanooga is supposed to be high speed rail. And,
That's all over my head, and I probably won't be alive when it comes.
well, I don't think I will be either because you got to go through those mountains to get from Chattanooga over to Charlotte and that area. And
The Chinese just go through the mountain.
and so do the Germans. Have you ever been to Germany?
No.
They've tunneled half of the Alps out.
That may be the best way to do it.
And they have factories inside of their mountains.
Golly.
Yeah.
That may be what's happening in Area 51, because those mountains are a whole lot bigger, aren't they?
They're different, yeah. Well, that's what cracks me up is when you're in the West, and like I said, Amy and I were just out there. You look at a mountain range, and it could be like 40 miles away, and it looks like it's right there. I mean,
I know it. It's bizarre, isn't it?
yeah, their mountains are different than our mountains. So.
And they're a long ways off. I had the guy at the gas station said, I said, boy, you can see a long way. He said, yeah, if you'll stand on a Coke can, you can see 60 more miles.
I always heard you stand on a can, you see the back of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You stand on a can, you can see the back of your head.
That's how flat it is out in Texas. That's what they always said.
That doesn't make sense. In other words, you can see
not supposed to.
You go all the way around.
It's so flat in Texas that you stand on a can and see the back of your head. Yeah. That's no army. That's no army town. Yeah.
You think the Earth could be flat?
No. They've already proven it's not, but yeah.
Well,
we were talking about that the other day.
The flat Earth people have proved there is.
I know. They used to think they'd fall off, right?
They used to think Earth was flat.
Yeah. But when you see the shadow of Earth on the moon and it's a crescent, that pretty much tells you the Earth is not flat.
Have you seen those pictures of the moon landing when the lights fall down?
I saw that. Yeah.
Is that real? I don't know.
That's,
If it's not real, it sure is. They sure went to a lot of trouble
They
to
sure
make it
did.
look that way.
Yeah, I was a little kid when that was on.
I mean, I don't know. I've not been around it, so I don't. They don't say it's flat. They say it's domed. See, that's what makes
Oh, okay.
it's domed. That's flat Earth is a. I had a flat Earth guy here talking about it.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna get him to come back and try to explain it a little more.
Yeah. Well, I've been all four corners of the world. I mean, Asia, South America, and
Looks around you.
yeah. You know, when you fly from America over to like London or Frankfurt or whatever, you actually go up to over Iceland and you're like, why are you going all the way? Why don't you just go straight across? Well, because the Earth is not as big up there, which means it has to be round.
Yeah.
So,
I don't guess it matters to us, does it?
no.
So you got anything else to say? I'm thinking about
Well, I
going home.
appreciate you
eating
having me. It was
yeah.
good chatting, getting
Yeah.
to know you, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I
It's
appreciate your show, the discussion.
The discussion.
The discussion.
Stay in tune, and also
Yeah.
hit subscribe on YouTube. It's free.
Yeah.
But I like to get more.
How'd you start this? Because you're one of those guys that just loves to talk, and you're
Yeah.
like, wait a second, I can take my ability to talk and shoot the gab, and,
Well,
and make it entertaining and all that. So
Well, a
your
lot of
ability to
people-
talk.
Well, we get about I'm getting about 36,000 a week now.
There you go.
Yeah, and over 12,000 followers and
So
subscribers combined.
So there's a monetary piece to it. But I thought it's just because Dee likes to talk.
Yeah, I'm not monetizing it at all. It's too complicated.
Oh, yeah.
It's too complicated. and if you did, you wouldn't. You don't get that much.
I always thought.
And I don't want to interrupt. I interrupt this.
Yeah.
You know why interrupt this?
No, you gotta
this
get the thing
because
going.
this mess. If we stopped for a commercial that was monetized, we wouldn't have heard what your take on flat Earth was.
No, I enjoy. I was thinking if I ever, or when I come off the county commission, if I ever was like a commentator, like
Yeah.
once you're off the commission, you
Yeah.
can kind of talk about the inside of how things work, stuff like that. What I do, the podcasting thing is popular now.
Yeah, it's hard. It's harder than building
Like
because you just
they put the
There's-
budget together. I'm pretty familiar with how
there's
the
so
budget
many
works.
rules. There's so many rules
Yeah.
that you have to go by that you would not believe. It's
Or
a whole.
the YouTube, the Google YouTube.
It's you can't put a picture. If I was to take this picture and put it on Facebook versus YouTube, you can't. It's a whole whole nother world.
I think I know where you're going. Years ago, my oldest son would go to a baseball camp over here. Coach Brew, the coach of Lee University baseball, he would have this camp, and I was sitting there videotaping Asa, with a video recorder, and they would play a song, whatever,
Yeah. You can't
the
do
Rolling,
that.
Rolling Stones or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever
Yeah.
song between Batters
Yeah.
or something like that. Just they all. And I would upload the video to YouTube, and I get this thing. It's like privacy infringement or
copyright infringement.
And they strip the music out.
And they throttle it.
So I was
So,
like,
so not many people see it.
oh, okay.
See, I even had to buy the rights to that entry song.
Oh, for the discussion.
Yeah,
when you
it's
said-
it's called the name of the song is "Sounds of Earth,"
Okay.
and I had to buy the rights to the song.
So you bought it one fee, and you can play it as much as you want, or
Theoretically,
yeah. So you don't
but
have to.
then
You don't have to pay royalties every time.
no, and but then I got a letter from somebody saying you hadn't bought it.
Oh.
So I had to go back to the original people, which was a whole nother thing, and got a letter and sent it in to them, and I hadn't heard any more, so I don't know if I'm cleared or not.
Oh. Well, you can say, "Here's my check." I mean,
Well, there's nobody to even send it. There's nobody to call.
oh,
They don't. It's not like you call them. There's nobody to call.
the person who sends you the code.
They'll
That's the other thing that's going on with the internet is like for a while there that you could download music. You wanted to download
yeah.
the Police
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whoever
You just can't play it on here.
And then you'd get something from Spectrum or Warner Brothers, Cox, or whoever, and said, "We know that you downloaded from a certain IP address and stuff like that, a song by the Rolling Stones or
Yeah.
something like that. Stop." Nobody did. The whole
Yeah, I
the whole-
remember
the whole
that.
pirating
I
thing.
remember that. That was and that's basically what sort of started Spotify. They just did it legally, I
And then
think.
they pay the music industry or whatever, and then the internet got fast enough that you could download movies, and then they really got serious because next thing you know, you download all.
And
the,
how do they know that little old Dee Burris down here is playing that song? It's
I don't know if
so.
they know, but they know you downloaded it
I think they have AI.
because and every computer has a unique identification
Yeah.
number. I know it's amazing with the billions of computers they have a MAC address.
Well, I had it recorded in Chattanooga and brought here, so I didn't even even
Okay.
download it.
So you didn't, yeah.
No, it's. I think it's.
Then they have an
I think maybe they have AI. AI
yeah.
watches it or
They got
something.
an algorithm that goes
Something.
in there, and then they
It's-
see it, and then they
it's-
because you can ask your phone to listen to a song, and they can tell you what the song is
Yeah.
based off of the.
Or you can ask me. I
vibration.
know about all the songs. So what you got going on this evening?
This evening, let's see. My youngest is getting ready to go back to school, so we're going to pack. He's got his big trunk, and he's got his 35-inch television. We're going to pack him up in the car. He's heading back to Birmingham first thing in the morning. Start his junior year at Sanford.
What time will he head out?
7 or 8, I hope. Get down there, and he's got to go down 59. It's about 3 hours in a time.
That's
zone
an
change.
easy drive.
Yeah, except 59. Have you been on 59 lately?
Yeah, not in the last
It's not that good.
year,
Yeah, but
6 months.
yeah, 3 hours down to Birmingham, get settled in. So tonight we're going to get him packed up and get him off. These schools, they start at different times. Lee started like last week, I think, and
It's
Sam-
all chaos.
Sanford starts next week and all that. And then the following week, college football starts. So, yeah, that's tonight. And then tomorrow, county commission, finance meeting. Oh, I know one thing I get to do. Do you know Turner Jackson?
Yep.
Turner, I'm going to be a part of the chain gang. I guess the guy that holds up the 10 yards that you have to
yeah.
get in order
Yeah.
to get the first down.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the chain gang this Thursday with Bradley opens for their opener. So I'm excited about
Well,
that.
make sure you lean it.
Turner asked me, he goes, "You do know how to roll?" I was like, "Yeah, Turner, I know how to roll."
Yeah.
He goes, "No, Blake, don't be dumb. If the running back's coming your way, get out of the way." I was like, "Okay." I mean, so no, it's going to be a busy week.
It's going to, about mid-September, everybody's busy till about the end of January. There's not much let up.
Yeah.
So enjoy the next 15 days. Hey, Glad you could come.
Thanks for having me.